All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're kind of becoming ancient architects. We're going to break down this incredible blueprint from the book of Exodus and really get our heads around how this massive, sacred space, the Tabernacle's courtyard, was built piece by piece right in the middle of a desert.
I mean, really think about that for a second. This wasn't some permanent building made of stone. Nope. This was a portable sanctuary for a whole nation that was constantly on the move. And yet the plans for it were unbelievably precise, the scale was just immense, and its whole purpose was incredibly profound. So how in the world do you create a space that feels both monumental and mobile? Well, that's the puzzle we're digging into today.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to build this courtyard together, step by step. First, we'll look at the blueprint itself, the huge dimensions. Then we'll lay the foundation with copper and silver. After that, we'll raise those famous walls of fine linen, create that absolutely stunning embroidered gate, and finally, we'll get into the deep, symbolic reason for this whole structure.
You know, every great structure starts with a plan. And for the Tabernacle courtyard, this wasn't just some doodle in the sand. These were very, very specific instructions that were meant to carve out a slice of holy ground from the wild, vast desert. The very first measurement we get is for the length, 100 cubits. Now, to put that into perspective for us, that's about 150 feet, or 45 meters. We're talking about a space that's longer than a professional basketball court. So right away, you know this enclosure was meant to be seriously imposing.
And the width, 50 cubits, which is about 75 feet. So now we can see the whole footprint, right? It's this massive rectangle, 150 feet long by 75 feet wide, staked out in the middle of nowhere. This was no small tent. This was a grand enclosure.
This slide really gives us a fantastic bird's-eye view of the whole framework. And notice the precision here, 20 pillars for each of the long sides, 10 for the west side. It creates this perfectly symmetrical, ordered space. And that's such a powerful contrast to the wild, totally unordered desert that's all around it.
So we've got the dimensions locked in, but what actually holds it all up? Let's get into the foundation. You know, the bones of the structure, starting right from the ground up.
Now, this is absolutely crucial. Before anything else could go up, the entire structure had to be anchored down. And the material for that job? Copper. Every single one of those pillars stood in a copper socket, and the whole thing was held firm against those desert winds with copper pegs. Copper was the connection to the earth. It was the grounding force for everything.
And this just illustrates the choices so brilliantly. You see, copper is for the foundation. The sockets in the dirt, the pegs, it provides all the stability. But then you have silver. Silver was used for the hooks that held up the curtains, the bands that went around the pillars, and to cap the pillars themselves. So if copper grounded the structure, silver is what lifted it up, connecting all the pieces and adding this touch of, well, splendor.
Okay, so our pillars are firmly in place, held down by copper and dressed up with silver. Now it's time to create the enclosure itself, and this is where the visual transformation really begins.
Just try to imagine this. Hundreds of feet of brilliant, white, finely woven linen fabric just rising up from the desert floor. This wasn't a fence made of wood or stone. It was a wall of pure textile, creating this stark, clean boundary that you would have been able to see from way off in the distance.
And these linen walls stood 5 cubits high, so about 7.5 feet. That's tall enough that someone on the outside couldn't just casually peer over the top. It created a real sense of privacy, of mystery. To see what was happening inside, you couldn't just be a spectator. You actually had to enter.
Okay, so picture this massive, stark white enclosure, this silent, imposing structure. But there has to be a way in, right? And the entrance wasn't just some opening in the fabric. Oh no, it was the architectural and artistic centerpiece of the entire courtyard.
The gate itself was actually a massive screen, 20 cubits, that's 30 feet wide. It took up a huge portion of the eastern wall and was held up by its own 4 dedicated pillars. This was clearly meant to be the focal point.
And here's the kicker. This is where everything changes. After all that plain white linen, the entrance just explodes with color and craftsmanship. The text actually specifies it was the work of an embroiderer. This was a masterpiece of textile art, a vibrant, beautiful invitation into the sacred space.
I mean, just look at these colors. You have this deep blue, this royal purple, and this vivid crimson, all intricately embroidered into that white linen. Now imagine that against the backdrop of the plain white walls and the muted tones of the desert. This gate would have been an absolutely stunning beacon, signaling that this was the threshold between two totally different worlds.
So we've built the courtyard, we've seen its scale, its materials, its incredible beauty, but why? Why build it this way? What was the whole point of this elaborate architectural project?
This is really the core takeaway. According to ancient commentators like the famous scholar Rashi, the entire design serves one primary function: separation. The courtyard is basically an act of architecture that's designed to draw a line in the sand. It creates a physically and spiritually distinct zone, a place set apart as holy from the common, everyday world.
And the design pulls this off in two really brilliant steps. First, you have the physical boundary. Those high linen walls create an undeniable barrier. It basically says, hey, the space inside here is different from the space out there. And then you have the single, colorful, ornate gate. That serves as the one and only point of transition. You don't just wander in, you have to pass through a formal, symbolic threshold.
So as we wrap up our build, just think about what we've put together. It all started with these precise dimensions that carved out a huge, ordered space from the chaos of the desert. Then we layered in materials that had these symbolic jobs: copper to ground everything, silver to lift it up. We saw that powerful contrast between the simple white walls and that rich, colorful gate. And through it all, we discovered the ultimate goal: to build a physical boundary between the holy and the everyday.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This ancient blueprint shows us how intentional design, how architecture can create a sense of meaning and sanctity. So it kind of begs the question, what about our own architecture? What are the designs of our homes, our cities, our public spaces? What do they reveal about what we hold sacred today? Something to think about.